I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Abu Bakr. So, Dr. Abu Bakr is currently working as a research assistant professor at Qatar University. He comes with a wealth of experience, having started his career at the National Institute of Oceanography, Goa, as a CSIR research fellow and continued to work in organizations such as COWIAS, Mashal International, National University of Singapore, and King Abdul Aziz University, Saudi Arabia. In addition to teaching and managing research projects, Dr. Abu Bakr is an accomplished numerical modeler and has analyzed long-term and short-term metadata. His areas of expertise, especially in teaching, include dynamical oceanography, geographical fluid dynamics, coastal ocean processes, data processing, and oceanography of adjacent seas. His current research focus is on the ocean waves, coastal processes, biophysical modeling, and on climate and variability. In addition to teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students, Dr. Abu Bakr has supervised dissertation and internship students and has co-supervised a PhD student. He has also been a principal investigator for funded coastal development and research projects and has also managed major consultancy programs. He has several scientific publications to his credit and regularly reviews manuscripts submitted to esteemed journals. He is a recipient of Junior Research Fellowship and Lecturership granted by Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, in 2013 and is also a member of several scientific organizations. We are very pleased to have you with us, Dr. Abu Bakr. Before we move on, I would request our participants to type in any questions that they have in the chat box, which will be addressed after the talk. I would now request Dr. Abu Bakr to take over. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I think it's good afternoon. Here it is 9:51 in Qatar, so it's morning here. Anyway, we are starting a bit early than scheduled. Okay, let me share my screen. Is it okay?
Yes, it's visible.
Let me full screen. All right. Thank you, Alinia, for a nice introduction, and Dr. Sri for inviting me for this program, along with my friend Dr. Ginson George. I'm very happy to be a part of this program along with him. Okay, the topic of today's talk is academic research and career opportunities in oceanography. The talk has two parts. The first part is about introduction in oceanography. The second part is about opportunities, which will be covered by Dr. Grinson George. Okay. So, what is oceanography? In the background, you can see a nice picture of the ocean, which is from my native place, just 3 kilometers away from my home. We used to go to the sea to along with my family, just kids, and just to watch the beauty of the ocean. Everyone likes the ocean, isn't it? So we must know what is oceanography. When I started my MSc in Cochin University, my villagers asked me what is oceanography, because it's a new name heard by them. So I must have to explain to them what is oceanography. Similar question will have in everyone's mind here. What is it, oceanography, and why we need to study ocean? Is there anything important? Is that that have any career opportunities? All these questions will come into everyone's mind. So simply, oceanography is the study of all aspects of the ocean. There are many aspects in the ocean. So to know what is oceanography, we must know what is there in the ocean. Yeah, it's a wide variety of informations we have in the ocean. We can see very shallow regions with coral reefs and very clear water at one end. Another end, we can see deep waters, very deep. At some places, we can see the sunlight is penetrating. At some places, we cannot see anything, like deep trenches. You know, the deepest place in the ocean is a Mariana Trench, which has no light at all. So such deepest regions are there in the ocean, which is around 10 kilometers deep. If you look at the ocean surface, you can see ocean waves, then ocean currents. There are underwater currents which we cannot see from the surface, but it is flowing around the oceans. Then you can see the cyclones. The cyclones are the most extreme hazardous events which we face, especially along the east coast of India, like Orissa, then the other regions like Bangladesh. They are all facing the cyclones. Where we see the cyclones are mostly in the ocean, which has high impact in the ocean surface. And we also know about tsunami, which is devastating event. We will see in, if you look at the ocean species, there are many sea animals, fishes, then coral reefs, that kind of variety of ocean species we can see in the ocean. If you look at, there are deep darkness in the ocean. In such regions, there is also light, which is called bioluminescence. So these kind of species, they are producing the light to escape from its enemy or to gain its food. So they are losing the luminescence for these two purposes. You can see bioluminescence in the ocean surface also. Okay, these are the general information we have from the ocean. So why all these are important? So for that, we need to look at different aspects of the oceanography. There are basically 4 aspects: physical, chemical, biological, and geological. Geological is having another part which is called geophysical. So these are the main branches of oceanography. Physical oceanography, which deals with the physics of the ocean, which means the physical properties like the ocean surface, temperature, density, salinity, not only in the surface, the entire water column, from surface to 50 meter or 100 meter or 1000 meter, wherever the depth is, depending, the measurements of these parameters are depending on the depths of the ocean. So that is one aspect, the physical properties. The second aspect is the ocean dynamics, which means the ocean is always in motion in different means, by different means, like waves, which are generated by the winds, then currents also generating by winds, as well as the density differences in the ocean. In different layers, there are different densities, and horizontally it varies from place to place. According to, there will be a change in density that generate currents. So globally, there is large scale currents which is flowing around, is due to the density differences, which are called thermohaline circulations. Then tides, which we know sometimes the water is rising along the beach, along the coast. Sometimes it is flowing down. So these are the effects of the tides. The tides are basically by the gravitational pulling of the moon, sun, and the earth. So which is a regular event which we normally see. Then when we talk about physical oceanography is not a standalone subject which is always connected to the atmosphere, because any processes in the atmosphere will affect the physical characteristics of the ocean. For example, as I told you, the waves are generated by winds. So if the wind changes, the wave characteristics will change, the currents will change, the physical properties will change because of the cooling and evaporation. So all these are connected. So physical oceanography is basically an air-sea interaction, air and sea interactions. Not only air and sea, the land boundaries also influencing the physical oceanography. Then the another aspect is geological oceanography. Geological oceanography is a study of earth beneath the ocean, like the ocean floor. If you look at the ocean floor, there are a variety of features in the ocean floor, different kinds of sediments, then the bathymetric variations. All these kind of aspects will be studied by geological oceanographers. Here you can see the geological oceanographers, they are collecting the sediment using the sediment graph. They are collecting the sediments from the seabed, then they will take it into the laboratory and they analyze to identify different characteristics of the sediments. Here you can see a ship is moving to survey the ocean bottom. They are surveying the seafloor characteristics. These are the examples of the activities geological oceanographers do. Their studies the topography, the structure and geological processes of the ocean floor. Based on the geological study, they can understand that what are the changes occurred in the past, or what are the changes going to be happen in the future in the ocean floor. Then a part of marine geology, which marine geologists cannot specifically study, it's a detailed study of the sea floor and subsea floor geology, which is called marine geophysics. Marine geophysics, they analyze the physical properties to understand the sea floor and subsea floor geology. So they have different sensors which penetrate through the sea floor, the subsea floor. They can identify the different layers of the rocks or sediments in the subsea floor. Sometimes they will find the oil, petroleum, gas, these kind of things. They can easily identify using their field investigations. One of the application of the marine geophysics is in the petroleum industry. Then chemical oceanography. Chemical oceanography is the composition of seawater. There are different components of different elements in the ocean. Then these components are related to different physical processes. As I told you earlier, chemical oceanography is not just a standalone subject, because the physics, biology, everything is affecting on the chemical oceanography. The important parameters like the nutrients, the suspended metals, dissolved oxygen, then like carbon dioxide, this kind of data chemical oceanographers are collecting from the ocean. And they use different water samplers, as you can see here. These are called Rossetti water sampler. These are like an array. They are connecting 50 or 100 water samplers they are putting on the ocean. It will go up to a certain depth which we pre-planned, then collect the data, then bring it back and do the tests in the laboratory to see the different chemical compositions. Chemical oceanography is the most interdisciplinary of all the subdisciplines of ocean science. So they analyze the chemical components, influence the density and thus the circulation, because the changes in chemistry that is affecting the physics, like the physics is affecting the chemistry, but the physics and chemistry it's affecting the biology. These are all interdisciplinary aspects. Then biological oceanography. Biological oceanography is a study of the life in the ocean, the distribution, the abundance, and the production of different species in the ocean. You can see the biological oceanographer. He is going to the sea bottom and analyzing collecting different species. And it's not only like the normal species. The biological oceanographers, they are also studying the microbiology, very fine, like bacteria, marine bacteria. These are they are marine biologists analyzing. Dr. Sri is an expert in marine biology. Biological oceanographers, they study the chemical and physical factors influencing distribution factors, then biochemical adaptations, the connection with the variation with the temperature and other physical properties, then the food chain dynamics, then the nutrient cycling, then the anthropogenic impacts. You know, we are all giving high stresses to the ocean by polluting in different way. So these are all affecting the ocean life. So which indirectly affecting back us, which we are not aware of. So these are all aspects the biological oceanographer is studying. Then there is a part, standalone part, which is fisheries oceanography. Dr. Grinson George is an expert in fisheries oceanography. He can explain more about it. This is basically about the study of the ocean fish. Now, I explained all these aspects: physical, chemical, biological, and geological aspects. Most of these aspects are interdisciplinary, as I told you. Although we are studying separately, but they are all have connections between them. Now, if you look at the global climate change, so the global climate change, I think everyone knows about the global climate change. It's the increase of temperature due to the melting of the glaciers. So it affects everywhere, not only in the Antarctic or Arctic regions. It has an impact everywhere, like in the form of sea level rise. So these sea level variations, as well as the changes in the temperature, which affects the chemical composition of the seawater, as well as the biology, the ecosystem, the habitats, everything is changing according to the global climate change. For example, there is the high temperature may cause for different species, they may be disappeared in future because they cannot adapt. Then another thing is that the cyclones are increasing. You know, the global climate is changing. The intensity of the cyclones are increasing. In recent years, we know that there are more cyclones in the Arabian Sea, which we were not heard of before. There are many cyclones happen in the Arabian Sea, which intensified within 24 hours, that kind of short periods. So somewhat unpredictable these new cyclones, like the one which happened a couple of years back, which is called Oki cyclone. See, these are the changes happening in the ocean due to the climate change. Another important aspect is the ocean acidification. The ocean is getting acidified because of the global climate change. So all these are interrelated. So there are more opportunities to study in the oceanography. I think I have done introducing about the oceanography.